On October 21st, IBJ unveils the 2025 Women of Influence. Join us to celebrate Indy's most inspiring leaders and hear the powerful stories behind their success. Don't miss this moment. Register now at ibj.com/influence 2025.
Welcome to the Indiana Lawyer Podcast. I'm your host, Maura Johnson, and in today's episode, I'm joined by Joshua Christie, who will soon lead Ice Miller LLP as the law firm's chief managing partner. Based out of the firm's Indianapolis office, Christie has been a member of Ice Miller's business practice group since 2006 and currently serves on the firm's board of directors. He will step into the role in 2026 following the end of current chief managing partner Michael Milliken's 4-year term. Christie joins me to talk about his new role and how he plans to help the firm navigate change in areas like artificial intelligence, DEI policy, and the state's ongoing attorney shortage. But before we get into the discussion, let's hear from our sponsor, Taft.
Taft, today's modern law firm. At Taft, we cultivate a highly respectful, transparent workplace that fosters creativity, teamwork, inclusion, and diversity. We couple our culture with a client-first approach, rewarding lawyers who understand their clients' goals and work to deliver success. Taft, the modern law firm. To learn more, visit taftlaw.com.
Mr. Christie, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Just to start out, for those who may not know, can you just tell me a little bit more about the role that you're in right now at Ice Miller and then what role you'll move into in 2026?
Sure. I'm currently a partner in Ice Miller's business group. I've been here my whole career, going on 20 years at this point. I've also been a member of our firm's board of directors for the past 4 years. And as of a couple weeks ago, I was just elected as our next chief managing partner, which is a role I'll step into on January 1st.
Can you tell me, specifically related to the role that you have right now, can you tell me a little bit about what that entails, kind of what sectors you work in?
Sure. Yeah. I've been a business transactional lawyer my whole career. I work primarily with business owners and management teams, entrepreneurs, and investors, with all facets of business transactions. I do a lot of work in mergers and acquisitions and helping folks buy and sell companies, strategic transactions and joint ventures, contract review, general corporate work. And then I also have some folks where I serve as their outside general counsel. Internally in my role on our board of directors here at our firm, that means a couple of things. The primary functions are, setting partner compensation and then really spearheading the firm's overall strategy and budget. So I've been in that role for about 4 years now, and in addition to my practice.
And when you step into your new role in 2026, what will you do? And let me start off. When you step into your new role in 2026, what main responsibilities will you have as managing partner?
Yeah, I mean, at our firm, the chief managing partner is effectively the CEO and is also the chairman of the board. So it brings responsibility for, day-to-day operations of the business, working with deputy managing partners, our C-suite, and our team of very talented business professionals to operate the business, as well as working with our board of directors and our practice group leaders and our partners generally to steer the firm's overall strategy and growth.
So what would you say right now are maybe the biggest challenges facing law firms, and how do you want to address it when you move into this new role?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think one particular challenge facing pretty much all law firms right now is just, which it's a challenge, but I also view as an opportunity. It's movement of talent in the legal market. We've got to constantly focus on, retaining our great lawyers and the business professionals that we have, because it's the same market that allows us to attract great new talent is also constantly trying to attract our talent. And, we need to just constantly focus on how to retain our people and then also strategically grow in a legal market where almost all firms are in the kind of the same mode. So I think we focus on maintaining a law firm and a platform that really allows entrepreneurial growth of folks' practices, and fosters their own development, both, in terms of their client-facing roles and attracting new business to the firm, but also helping develop new leaders inside the firm so that we're a place where people really want to land and spend their careers. I think the other big challenge that law firms face right now are just, the evolution of both the way we practice law and the technology that we use to practice law. I mean, coming out of the pandemic, the way we all work and the way our clients all work is different than it was when a lot of us learned how to practice law. And so trying to go back to the way it used to be just isn't, the way of the world, or something we should be looking at. I think we need to constantly be staying on the leading edge. And that's both in terms of the way we the way we practice and provide client service, in terms of being willing to be more flexible in the way folks work and where folks work, as well as investing in new technology and in changing the way we practice law. But, keeping our eye on, as we evolve the way we practice, we need to evolve the way we're training new lawyers and the way we're helping folks along the trajectories of their careers.
And in the vein of working with and learning how to adapt to this kind of new phase of the profession, obviously artificial intelligence is kind of a big topic for law firms. I'm just curious, how do you see AI affecting the legal profession right now? And how specifically is Ice Miller kind of addressing the technology and training of it and using it?
Yeah. I mean, look, lawyers are notoriously slow to adapt things like new technology. But the fact of the matter is, our clients are already using it, and they're expecting us to be figuring AI out and how it fits in our practice. So I think it's important for law firms, if they're going to be successful moving into the future, to stay, ahead of the curve and on the cutting edge. But there's a certain level of caution we need to make sure we're paying attention to too. And my general counsel loves it when I say that. But we've seen some pretty high profile missteps already in terms of relying too much on AI, with hallucinations in court cases that have led to incorrect cites. But we've also seen, in that and more in the day to day. I mean, AI can really help us be more efficient in some ways, but from what we've seen, it may only be 75% to 80% accurate in some ways. So there's still that, that last piece where I think you still need the legal expertise and the ability to sit down and review the product and the output, so that we're making sure we're providing the best advice we can. I also think there is that kind of step that I'm not sure AI will ever be able to replace, which is, helping our clients look at the 2 or 3 options they have and make the judgment calls that they need to make in order to solve whatever issue they're looking at. So, at Ice Miller, we're currently piloting a few different uses. We have a number of our partners who've already taken the initiative to work with our technology team to, try to break off pieces of their individual practices where it makes sense to see how AI can help provide a different way to provide client service to our clients. It's important to us that, we make that an option and stay on the cutting edge, but also give our clients the opportunity to determine whether or not they want us using AI in their matters. And we're also piloting a number of different uses internally. I mean, one of the great things I've seen about what AI can do is make us much more efficient in some of the internal or day-to-day or administrative tasks that tend to take up a lot of our time. There's a lot of opportunity to streamline things like that and make us a more efficient business. So we'll continue to pilot that. Again, like I said, it's like everyone else, it's important for us to make sure that we're kind of staying on the leading edge on this.
Yeah. And I think something that's interesting as well, it's just kind of maybe the growing emphasis in law schools specifically to start using this AI. Have you kind of seen that from new lawyers at Ice Miller, just kind of the increased knowledge of this technology coming in already?
Oh, certainly. And it's, it's an interesting challenge for lawyers in a couple of ways. I mean, I think because a lot of newer lawyers have already been using it in their day-to-day life, they may be using a publicly available product or, a a publicly available version of ChatGPT that without, always understanding the risk management issues that come with that. So we're making sure that because, our new lawyers do, have already adopted and do want to continue to use this technology, we want to be sure we have, the right product offerings and the right options for them to use it on our platform in a way that provides the best client service to our clients. The other piece of that is, in some ways, there will be fundamental changes to the way that lawyers practice law in the next few years, which every time, we experience something like that, we have to think about how we're fostering new legal talent and helping them develop in their careers, because the way that a lot of us learned how to practice law won't be the way that they learn how to practice law. And so we have to constantly be paying attention to that and making sure we're adapting the way we do things, but continue to develop new talent going forward.
It's something else that the Indiana lawyers obviously been looking at is just addressing the attorney shortage in Indiana. And I know earlier this summer, the final report came out from the Commission on Indiana's Legal Future. And one of the suggestions or recommendations that they gave is letting non-lawyers handle some low-level legal matters as a way to address the shortage. So I was just curious how, I guess, you and how ICE Miller maybe views that kind of passing of some of these matters to non-lawyers.
Yeah, I first of all commend the Supreme Court and the Commission for digging into this important issue and trying to solve this, growing problem of access to legal services for a lot of the folks who need it the most. Like any problem like that, I think creativity is important. I think we can learn a lot from our traditional legal practices where we've found ways to leverage talented non-lawyers in a lot of different ways for a long period of time. So I think it's logical that we could apply similar concepts to this problem. I think the real issue that I think everyone needs to keep their eye on is making sure that there is proper legal supervision at the right levels and proper training so that we balance providing, good service to the folks who need it the most with, doing it in the right way so that we're not doing any damage when we take those steps.
And now shifting to, the kind of federal discussion on tariffs. I know you've probably seen this, especially firsthand in your work in mergers and acquisitions, but how have, these federal policies on tariffs kind of affected the practice of law in your firm's relationship with business clients?
Yeah, look, from what we've seen, there isn't an industry or a type of client or a type of business that hasn't been impacted on some level. Even if it's not the manufacturer whose material cost is going up materially based on tariffs, almost all of our clients, if they're not directly impacted in that way, people in their business network are impacted. And so it's something everybody's business is having to adapt to. I think in many ways it's strengthened our relationships with a lot of our clients. We're able to, function as their trusted advisors to help them work through these issues. We're lucky to have some really talented folks who at our firm who were already up to speed on trade issues and tariffs generally, who've been able to dig in, and we can plug them into with our clients and help them work through this. But I think in a lot of ways, it's been an opportunity for us to really strengthen our client relationships and help them work through these issues that are, vastly impacting their business.
In that realm, is there any, goal or any goals you have in being managing partner to kind of address the ongoing tariff issue and just kind of maintaining or building that relationship with clients?
Yeah, absolutely. I think tariffs are obviously top of mind today, but I think that's, we've prided ourselves for a long period of time in being a very entrepreneurial firm, and we adapt with our clients. I spent a lot of time at the beginning of the pandemic learning about the CARES Act and helping clients navigate the PPP program. My daughter pulled me aside at one point and told me she thought she could give a PowerPoint to our clients on PPP. You do it so much. So, we're constantly trying to stay on the cutting edge of what's top of mind for our clients. And, tariffs is certainly one of the biggest ones today. Whatever is coming down the road in the future, we'll adapt and we'll dig in, because again, we pride ourselves in being trusted advisors to our clients who are helping them make the really tough judgment calls they have to make to operate their business.
Is there anything on the horizon that Ice Miller is looking at to have to shift focus again and work through maybe new changes?
I really think we've really touched on the big one. I mean, the same way that we're looking at AI in our business, our clients all are as well. And trying to understand, the risks and the benefits associated with that. So we're still getting a whole lot of questions in that front as well. I think the other issues are not unique to this environment. I mean, our clients are worried about inflation. They're worried about, where we're going with tax policy and how to best prepare their businesses for what could be coming down the road. So, I mean, we're like we always do. We're constantly having conversations with our clients about those types of issues and trying to be proactive and help them stay ahead of the curve.
And I kind of want to also touch on, just some other federal topics, immigration and diversity being a couple of them. How have those topics kind of affected the practice of law from your perspective, and maybe how Ice Miller is approaching these topics?
Yeah, I mean, I can't predict exactly how all it'll play out, but we're constantly evaluating all of our processes to ensure that we're keeping up with the law, and we're also continuing to build a culture that we've been building here at Ice Miller for more than a century. Obviously, those are top of mind issues for our business and our business professionals, and they're also top of mind for our clients. So we're navigating in our business, and we're helping our clients understand what they need to do to comply with the law and how they can help do the same thing we are with our business and continue to foster the kind of culture they want to have while making sure they are in compliance with all of the various laws and regulations that are out there.
Right. And in the vein of that, I'm sure you're familiar with Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita's new policy that aims to prevent any outside law firms representing the state from engaging in what he calls unconstitutional DEI practices. I'm just curious how that policy is impacting your law firm, Indiana law firms, anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of along the same lines. I mean, we're always evaluating our internal policies to make sure that we are compliant with the law, and we'll continue to do so. And again, we've been in Indianapolis since 1910, and really pride ourselves on the culture we've been able to build and foster and continue to foster even as we grow across our platform. And we'll continue to focus on that.
Looking ahead to 2026, is there anything that the firm, any changes specifically that's on the horizon that you can tell us about, whether it be maybe mergers or anything in that vein?
Yeah, I mean, we're always opportunistic about growth. I rarely see any downside to having discussions with other firms, groups, individual lawyers about combining with them or joining our platform. We don't have anything imminent currently, but we're very focused on growing the right way. We aren't a firm that sees a need to grow just for growth's sake. We place a lot of emphasis on collaboration and really leveraging all of the talented people across our entire platform. We're 10 offices across the country now, and we've got a lot of talented people that can help clients no matter where they are. And so we work on trying to foster a culture that encourages that. And try not to let, any individual credit get in the way of getting a job done and providing, the highest level of client service that we can. And if I look at growth, we've had some good wins recently. I mean, our New York office, which we started with just 3 lawyers, had its 10th anniversary last week and has almost 40 lawyers now. We've also recently added a office of about 10 attorneys in Cleveland that's really firing on all cylinders. And so we'll continue to look for opportunities to strategically grow by adding practices that really can do well on our platform. So I think, if I look at 2026 and beyond, our focus is really to, strategically grow in our current geographies, really focusing on our strengths, and then seek out opportunities in other markets that we feel, can really blossom on our platform and the way we like to practice law.
And something else I just wanted to touch on, obviously, Ice Miller, as you mentioned, has locations across the country. But I'm just kind of curious, from your perspective, what it's like to kind of be in the Indianapolis market. I think something that's unique about being here is just how many firms there are here. Can you just kind of touch on, I guess the uniqueness of being in Indianapolis and working in this environment?
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, we on the one hand, we have a lot of, there are a number of firms here, and there are a number of firms who've come into this market in the past few years that certainly weren't here when I started. For a firm like us, that's provided a real opportunity. I mean, the more fostering of legal talent there is in this market, the more opportunities there are for us to find more folks to help grow our platform. Indianapolis is a little bit different than some of our other Midwestern markets in that, we do have a number of large firms here, but we don't have a lot of the presence of the kind of the Am Law 50, which obviously in Chicago, that's true. And even in our Columbus and Cleveland offices, that's true. So it's an environment that's, I think each of our markets are kind of unique environments in that way. But, I view the kind of the expansion of the big law firms that have come to Indianapolis to be, on the one hand, obviously it's more competition for the great companies that are based here, but it also is an opportunity for us to, again, we can all be a part of a growing legal community, and that's going to allow us to continue to attract great talent that will, that'll be able to really flourish on our platform.
All right. Well, that's all from me. Mr. Christie, thank you so much for joining me and for spending some time with me.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Indiana Lawyer Podcast. If you'd like to stay up to date on legal stories happening around the state, you can check out our website at theindianalawyer.com. While you're there, you can subscribe to our daily newsletter, find more podcast episodes, and listen to podcasts from across the IBJ Media Company. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
I'm Tiffany Souter, mom of four, wife, entrepreneur, and host of the Life of And podcast. For years, I built my life with brute force, a successful business, a growing family, and absolutely zero margin. I was tired, snappy, and felt constantly behind, and I was too afraid to admit it. Everything changed when I stopped trying to do more and started building systems that actually worked for my real life. If you too are craving more peace, more presence, and just more time for you, I'd love for you to join me on the Life of And. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast app or listen at ibjpodcast.com.
Do you want to know what really drives change in Indiana? You won't find it in sound bites, you'll find it in stories. Stories from CEOs, lawyers, coaches, entrepreneurs, and community advocates. That's the IBJ Media Podcast Network. Insightful, local, impactful. Find all of our shows by searching IBJ Media in your podcast app or visit ibjpodcast.com.